Hi guys, welcome to Manhood Explained. My name is Camille. Today is 17th of April 2021. Welcome to video number 306. And today I want to talk about how to epically destroy relationships and about two ways you can do that. So, first of all, the first path that you can take to make it happen is basically by waging war. You see, the situation when you use verbal aggression mostly happens in between people who are assertive, who are not afraid of conflict. Or at least one of them, because I've seen a relationship when one of the people were not assertive one, but because they learn that to survive they have to be able to open their mouth, they learn how to scream as well. And you see, the problem with this kind of approach to so-called, solve the problem is by yelling and having an argument is, first of all, is that you've got to understand that when extreme emotions, especially negative ones, come into play, the logical thinking flies out of the window. Since that moment in time, there is no discussion based on logic. There is no conversation based on common sense. You will never look for a root cause and never look for a solution, because now you're waging war. When you wage war, you don't look for the problem. You don't try to understand what is the other side talking about. What you do is you try to win. You try to defeat your enemy. And if you've been in any of this kind of situations, you know that even though it lasts an hour or two, 5 minutes in, you already argue about something completely different. You completely ditch the thing that you started with, and now you're somewhere there, waging war and digging up things from your, deeply long-term forgotten past, just because you need ammunition to attack your adversary. You see, the problem with that is that you don't look for root cause, you don't look for solution. There's no solving the problem. And that's a very big problem, because at the end of the day, maybe the argument will end. Maybe because you just ran out of emotions. Maybe you just let them pass. But at the end of the day, there's no solution to the problem. It's just no more emotions. And this is what make this whole thing and brings us to problem number 2, is that if you don't find solution, you add this situation to the pile that you already have. Pile of negative experience, pile of not solved problems, pile of the things that you never even had an occasion to talk about. Because if you ever had a situation when you were able to solve the problem, you know that you need to sit down and talk about it. Because many times, especially when their emotions are high, you don't even know what's your problem. Many times something was the trigger over here, but the problem was something completely different. There's many layers of the things that you have to go through to understand really what was or is the problem. And if you never solve that one, you add it to the pile. And then you've got a pile of not solved problems, pile of negative experience, pile of this situations that makes you feel at the end of the day something is wrong. We never solve any of the problems that we argue with. So why would we even argue? And many times, amount of this problem basically falls on you, and one day you just wake up and you feel sick looking at the person that you're with. In that moment you knew that you basically crossed the threshold, and now your relationship is done. Even though before it's kind of really is done. So the same thing happens, and this is the second path, when you go in the other extreme. Maybe you're not prone to verbal violence. Maybe you're prone to silence. And you see, I heard an amazing quote that told me a lot about it. It says, even distance doesn't separate people, but silence does. So you see, maybe you're one of those couples that both of you are not assertive. You don't want conflict. You don't feel comfortable bringing up things that will make the situation awkward, or you know that both of you will have a bad time and you just don't want to do it. So what you basically do, whatever happens, you just keep it to yourself. And then again, as with in the first example, what you basically do, you never talk about it. Your spouse is probably never even understand or knows that there's a problem or how big the problem is. And then you never solve it, because how can you solve it if you never talk about it? And again, problem number 2 is that when you never solve the problem, you add it to the pile of unsolved problems and this negative experience that are piling up. And one day they just fall on you. And you wake up and you already feel sick looking at the person that you're with. And even though they didn't do anything to make you angry, they didn't anything right now, there's nothing that they did, you're already sick of them. And then you know that you already passed the threshold and your relationship is gone even before it's officially done. And you see, this is what I do here. I just try to dump some thoughts on you, especially you guys. That's why I called it Manhood Explained. That's why I want you guys to understand what you're dealing with. I want you to at least be aware, because probably nobody told you, as nobody told me about this. I want you to be smart. I want you to be aware that there's 2 ways you can destroy your relationship. And I want you to at least learn what can you do. Because first of all, if you're in a relationship where argument is a norm, when this is the way you deal with problems, then you've got to understand one thing. The positive thing in that is you already talk about it. You already have guts to open your mouth and say what's wrong. So I want you to listen. I want you to be able to read between the lines and listen what she's, or he is, but I guess you're a guy, so what she is talking about, what she's screaming about, and try to learn what is the problem. And second, learn how to control the emotions. Because as we said, when the emotions are high, you're not going to look for a problem, you're not for the root cause, and you're not going to look for a solution. Control the emotions. And second, if you're in a relationship where silence is the way to go, and I want you to read between the lines and see when her behavior says that something is wrong. You want to see when she becomes distant, when she stops, telling you that she loves you, when she stops saying that she's happy with you. Maybe she stopped, having sex with you. I want you to learn that this is the sign that something is wrong. And there are 2 things you can do. 1, you want to learn how to build an environment in your home so she could know that she can openly talk about it, that you're not going to be defensive, that you're not going to try to solve the problem on the fly, that you're going to be able to listen, and you're going to be able to help her to get to the what is really the problem and find a solution that will benefit both of you. And second, you want to be persistent, to dig as long as you have to help her talk about everything. Because if she's hiding it, then sooner or later it's going to bite you where you don't want to be bitten. And listen, this is what I want you to take from this video. Whether you just wage war by verbal violence, or whether dying by silence is your way to go, I want you to be able to do something about it, because at the end of the day, she wants you to lead. And she can tell you whatever. She can quote whatever feministic thing she can say, that she wants to be this independent woman. In a relationship, she wants you to lead. Not only because if you be able to do this, you will feel like a guy because you led, and she will praise you because you had the guts to do it. And I don't want you to do it because you have to. I don't want you to do it because, because you're a simp. I want you to do it because you can and because you care. Listen, I want you to think about it, and I want you to do something about it. Why? Because listen, at the end of the day, no matter what happens, whether you're going to split, whether you're going to drink the champagne of victory, that you help your relationship and led your relationship to become stronger, I want you to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, there are 2 ways that we could destroy a relationship, but I was able to deal with it, and I'm proud of myself. So, share, comment, tell me what you think, what is your experience, and if there's anything you want me to talk about, give me a shout, DM me, I'll be glad to do it. And that being said, see you in the next video.